Hey, what do you say? This is Bobby Blitz from Overkill, and that's right, you are listening to Diablos in Podcastica.
Welcome to Diablos in Podcastica with Toomey and Wadzilla.
All right, this is Wadzilla. I'm here with the legend, the Jersey Devil himself, Bobby Blitz.
Wadzilla and Bobby Blitz.
Yeah, finally, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like this could help cure that coronavirus.
Yeah. You just need a little Blitz and some Wadzilla, you'll be fine. Well, I want to thank you for doing this with us. And right off the bat, I announced this on the webpage that we're going to be talking to you.
Sure.
And I asked the fans, because you're nothing without the listeners, what do you want to talk to Bobby about? So I want to go with some fan questions. Edwin Canistracci, a huge Overkill fan from LA, wants to know, do you have any plans to do some more remasters? Like you had the historical box set. Do you plan on doing anything with the old Megaforce catalog?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to get our hands on. I mean, we would like to. We'd even like to do versions with the the new guys playing it, and then have the old ones remastered. Sure, but talking to Atlantic Records is pretty tough to get that. I mean, they're locked up. They're a Loctite box when it comes to their product.
Yeah, I saw Rock Candy Records did one of Under the Influence.
Yeah, that was sold to them by... They actually licensed that to somebody else who licensed it to Rock Candy. But it had nothing to do with the band. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. My internet son, Samuel Wetz, wants to know, how in the hell do you keep your voice this good at your age? I mean, it seems like, as I see you, babe.
Who's he calling old? Who's it?
Hey,
I'm sitting right fucking here. Right to my face. Holy shit. I don't know. I mean, I'd stopped smoking about 8 years ago. I don't really have that many awful habits. I like singing, so I do it a lot. I guess probably use it or lose it kind of a mentality. Right. I do stuff outside of the band. So I'm singing gigs probably, if I'm not on tour with Overkill, I'm doing shows with somebody else, or I'm, messing around in my own studio. So I really think that's it. I think it's just kind of a muscle, and it's just, I just haven't been, lightning struck by total old age at this point, Well,
I think you sound better than ever, man. All right. Another young Overkill fan, the lovely Trinity Guppy from Canada, she wants to know, what's it like being in the best thrash band in the world?
Well, I think it's the same way, too. That's exactly how I think of it. That's what makes it work. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. Well, me and Trinity think it makes a hell of a lot of sense. But I think that when you think that you're in the best thrash band in the world in your head, that gives you inspiration to keep doing it. That you feel like you're holding something special. And I like competitive nature, I mean, as a person, I'm competitive. I want to win. So when I'm thinking to myself, we're at a festival and there's 10 other thrash bands on that bill, I still think we're the best thrash band here. Right. And I think that's what actually, that competitiveness actually gets you results. So,
are there any bands, be it newer bands or bands you came up with, that still inspire you? Like you hear their shit and you're like, oh man, we got to top this one, or...
I don't know if it's other bands, because I think that the way to write music is to kind of have it be your own plane as opposed to that of the entire scene. I think that when I was younger, I paid more attention to the fact that here comes a new Metallica record, or here comes the Slayer guys, or even Nuclear Assault, or something like that back from the old days. But I think in the modern era, I probably just enjoy some of the newer ones more so than saying, I got to cop this. Right. I think I heard it from somebody. It's like, sure, I steal songs, but only good ones.
That's a good philosophy.
It might have been Nikki Sixx. I mean, let's not have anybody call me out on it. But the point is that I think a lot of people are inspired by other things. So.
Well, I'm glad that you keep making new music, because I think that's important. So many other bands kind of seem to take this attitude. Well, nobody, everybody's going to take a piss during the new song, and nobody's going to buy the new album, so we're just going to go out and play the hits. But I think it's just, if you put out a quality record, they're going to become new classics, and fans are going to want to hear them. And you've been on a roll. I mean, you're one of those bands, I put up there with Motorhead, AC/DC, that never put out a bad album, just some you like better than others. And like this streak you've been on since like Ironbound.
That's good company, man.
Yeah.
That's real good company.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a formula. I think things change. I think we like to write because that's why we got into this in the first place, was to create it, not necessarily just perform it. I got no problem with bands going out and doing hits because I like hearing some of the hits too. I mean, if they go out and they play all their greatest and not their latest, I mean that's up to them. But I think the inspiring thing for us is to be able to go out and try to create something new. I mean, shit, we got Jason Bittner sitting right there in front of you. I mean, this is a new element. This kind of pushes the chemistry into
right at the right time. Right now.
Yeah, into a different direction.
I didn't walk in for a shameless self-promotion either.
Yeah. Jason Bittner for a shameless self-promotion while looking for clean underpants. Welcome to the road, kids. Oh, and he has none.
I do. I got one.
Clean underwear, important on the road.
Very important.
You're not shitting.
All right. Here's one that my co-host, who could be here, Josh Toomey, and Marco Ramos want to know, is what's going on with this covers album, this thing you're doing with Portnoy and Phil Demmel and
Mark Mengy.
Yeah, on bass.
Yeah. It's well, I'll let you know. It's going to be announced very soon. Things are all falling into place as it should have been. The idea of it was just to have fun with the guys. I suppose somewhere in the back of your head, if you're always doing this, you think you're going to release it. But, I went into this whole thing of thinking, hey, this is a great, fun thing to do over summer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I have a guy does my vocals. I'll demo at my house, but I have a guy recorded. I just got a great formula with this cat. It's summer. It's the Northeast. It's 80 degrees. There's no humidity. I'm riding my motorcycle, singing older cover songs while I'm on my way to the studio. It's fun.
Right. No, and I can't wait to hear it. Now, vocally, like I know I have the Cursed album that you did, and to me, I loved it. Your vocals sound like you took a little bit different approach than with Overkill. Is that going to be the same on these covers, or?
Vocally, well, we just kind of amped them up. We just kind of injected them with a little bit of adrenaline from the originals, and so it has a little bit more of a Overkill-esque vibe to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
but the Curse thing was a weird. I mean, I remember not wanting to sing like I had done in the Overkill stuff, and man, I was riding around. I had an old Volkswagen. I was riding around this Volkswagen, listening to the Essential Johnny Cash for like 6 months before I recorded. And I know I could never match his tonality, but I could somewhere in my head be able to cop the mentality of how he approached things. And that was the biggest change I did, was just try to bring my voice down into a lower octave and try to present it with that kind of honesty. So that was inspiring for me, listening to the Essential Johnny Cash and then doing the Curse.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Metal Mike Tyler wants to know, if you could be in any other band, who would you like to be in?
Oh, jeez. Fuck. I mean, I never think in those terms. I just told you I'm in the best thrash band in the world, so there really is no other answer. Jeez, man, I like so many different kinds of music. But I think probably, and not from a replaceable value, but somebody recently asked me this, that somewhere in my head I like to think that I could do a duet with Halford.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Just like
that
I think I could, or at least try it. Give it like the old college try, or the get out in the gridiron and try to knock it dead. That would be really fun.
I would love it, like one of their faster tempos, like a Painkiller or something. That kind of vibe with you guys going back and forth.
Whenever I do the Metal Allegiance stuff, they throw in a Fast Priest for me. So I said, oh, somebody else thinks I can sing this pretty okay too.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to hear that. All right, and finally for the fan questions. A buddy of mine for 30 years, so you got to forgive this one. Matt Pasenka wants to know, what's up with the mustache?
What's up with
See what you did, Matt?
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a snot catcher. As you just heard me coughing there. Jeez, I don't know. I was, I was home for like 6 weeks after a tour once, and I let everything just kind of was growing out, and then girlfriend was coming. And I said, I better clean this face up. And I just left a mustache, and I was on my bike, and it's an older Evo, it's an older Evo Harley, so I guess it's like almost 30 years old now. And but I love this bike. And I was looking in a mirror, I was sitting at a stoplight with the mirror with this mustache, and I had this big handlebars coming down, and I'm going, that is fucking bad. I got a little skull cap on, little round sunglasses. I'm going, I look like I'm about to go rob a gas station.
I think it's a cool.
So it stayed since, yeah.
All right. Well, now on to my bullshit questions. You're a band, you've had your share of lineup changes.
Sure.
But I think it's something that, there's never been a bad lineup, in my opinion. Like, you never had that was a weak guitar player on that one, or, the drumming on that, it wasn't as good as the last guy. Man, how have you been so lucky to find these musicians and never lose that Overkill sound?
Well, I think that they have to buy into it, too. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's not just us doing it. It's not Dee Dee and myself doing it. It's guys that, Dave Linsk has been here he's the third standing member of this band. I mean, with the amount of time he's put in. He likes doing it. He's instrumental and priceless when it comes to writing material, because he thinks out of the realm that we do. So that kind of keeps it fresh. Now, you get a guy like Jason Bittner in here. He's he's at the top of his craft, it only adds more. Stability isn't the right word, but it's like a powerful stability to what we're doing. I mean, we now know we have another weapon, in our head. But I think that's the way it's always through the years. Is just kind of people have acclimated to us, we've acclimated to them, and that's when you get the best results. Is that you mix the chemistry. You don't tell people this is the way the formula works, and if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. You gotta people have to have input, and I think that's why you get good lineups, and you can't be afraid of change. I mean, the first time change happened, I panicked. The drummer was leaving. Oh my god, it's gonna be awful. Rat Skates back in the 80s. But then by the time even Bobby Gustafson had left, I was okay with change. There's like two ways to look at it. It's either a disaster or you can embrace it and kind of make it part of yourself. So I think that with that attitude, we get good results and good people. Yeah.
And I mean, man, when you lost Bobby, and then you get Rob and Merritt, and the work you did with them is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
and still, so it wasn't like Van Halen, where this is a whole nother band. Where's the band I know and love? You listen to that, you're like, wow, they ain't missing a beat. In fact, they're putting out, in my opinion, that that's my favorite album is Horoscope. Love it.
That came charging out of the cage, like a lion. That was the beauty I thought of that record. That there was, the speculation. I'll try to say I didn't listen to it, but for sure I listened to people speculating on whether it was going to be good or not. Because I was a younger man. I was influenced by the talking heads here and there, but it didn't worry me, and I don't think it worried Dee Dee, but it really pissed us off. You know what I'm saying? So somewhere in there, we funneled that pissed off into what became Horoscope, and that's why I always think of it as somebody left a lion cage open, and he came running out and he just fucking devastated everything around it. So it was good results at that particular time in our career.
Well, it's crazy because about an hour before I got down here, I'm at home watching the Asbury Park DVD, which I've seen about as many times as I've seen Live After Death. To me, it's just that is a legendary DVD.
That's fun one.
And I love the documentary on the other disc, and where you mentioned you're still on friendly terms with Merritt and some of the former members. You can't read an interview with Bobby without him bitching. But what about Rats? Do you ever see? Is there ever a chance, like maybe some gig, Rat would get up on stage, or is that pretty much gone?
I mean, it's not a problem for me. I mean, It wouldn't even be a problem with Bobby Gustafson. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, he's the problem with me. I don't have a problem with him, But it would have to be the other person being able to say, hey, I'd like to do this. I mean, nobody's going to come and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, man. I mean, I don't give a fuck. But I think Rat's taken different life choices at this point. And it's not, I can't speak for the man, but I don't think this is his thing anymore. Right. But would it be nice to see him? Of course it would. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right on. All right. Set list. That's another thing I'm thinking, man, when I watched that Asbury Park one, of course, that's a really extended set list.
Sure.
But that's what I love about it, from all eras of Overkill up into that point were represented, awesome. And now a show like tonight, you got other bands on there, so of course you got to scale it down. You got the ones that you have to play. Of course, you want to promote the new album. How do you go about the set list? Is that pretty much everybody like, hey, I want to do this one, and the other guys, I want to do this one, and you vote on it? Or
well, there's some classic shit that you're going to do. Eliminations in there since the Years of Decay. Rotten to the Core's been in there. Songs like Coma. Electric Rattlesnake has become one of the classic ones of the later era. Song Ironbound. These are the ones that have to, these 5 or 6 should be in there. And then we just kind of like mix it up. And it's really a group consensus. Somebody will be adamant about Necroshine or something. It's got to fucking be in the set. I'm not coming.
I'm excited. It's in there tonight. I love it.
But it's not easy to pick a set. But we try to like kind of push it sometimes in a direction where, you can dust off something that hasn't been played for, X amount of years. That just shows up that, sure, maybe not the majority of the audience gets why it's in there, but the way it's presented is always going to be great. And the minority of the audience go, fuck yeah, I never thought I'd hear this tune, which kind of makes their night. Yeah.
Awesome. An album that I really love, and I don't think gets talked about enough, is I Hear Black. I thought it was cool. It seemed like a little bit of a different change for Overkill, but yet it still sounds like Overkill. But I think that record holds up amazingly. Do you have fond memories of that era? Or
it was a strange time. What everything up until that point that had been written, in the first 4 of the configuration, the first 2 records of configuration was 4 of us writing, and then the next 2 records of configuration was 3 of us writing, and that being Dee Dee, Bobby, and myself. Mm-hmm. And then Dee Dee and I pretty much wrote Horoscope because we wanted to make sure it had our brand on it. And then we opened up to the other guys and said, okay, who wants to write? And I think that's the change in it for me. Mm-hmm. That I was used to writing with other people up until that point. And those newer ideas that came in from newer and younger guys, Robin Merritt, for instance, kind of just changed the direction a little bit. But once I kind of got my hands on it, the key was trying to make it sound like the Overkill stuff, and the voice is distinct enough to say, okay, it's Overkill. It's just a little bit different. But my opinion about that record is the production is a little bit soft, and it needed 2 or 3 more months to develop to be that classic Overkill record. I'm not disappointed with it. It was just regarding time constraints at the time and all of the other factors gave it a different vibe.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. How long do you see Overkill going on? Do you have an end game, or is retirement not in your vocabulary?
New Orleans.
So you're going to leave it all on the fucking stage tonight, man.
That's New Orleans.
That's awesome.
I don't fucking know. I mean, it could be, right? Who knows, right? I mean, it's 2020. We're not fucking, we're not young bucks anymore. I mean, I think I've never overthought where it's going. And how long, and I think that's kind of helped because it gives me the opportunity to make the most of the moment, and those moments kind of string themselves together into years and decades, so that's kind of the cool thing about it, because if I sit here and think about it, I might be even ridiculous to myself saying, oh, I don't know, it's going to go on forever. It's like that's not going to happen. Right. I mean, I think I said it last night on stage in Dallas. It's like, enjoy it while it's here, kids. Because you just never know.
Well, I'm wondering, because, if we cure coronavirus, like I think we can, we're going to make a nice bit of coin off of that.
Oh, God, that'll throw the economy over the top. In the world. Holy smoke.
All right, well, I just want to thank you for doing this. This is an honor to meet you, and I'm beyond excited. And this is actually a new podcast. I had a podcast before, and my co-host did as well, but we joined together like the superpowers, and you are our first interview. And
that's cool.
Excited, man, and it's such an hour. Now, I want to thank my co-host, Josh Toomey, for setting this up, because this is a dream come true. And everybody I've met so far today has been super nice, and
nobody's a pain in the ass in this thing. Yeah.
Even Dee Dee, I was scared of Dee Dee, and he was nice as hell. I'm like, oh shit, this is the most evilest man in the world. And I was like, Dee Dee's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, whoo.
Evil Dee Dee Verney.
Yeah, and John Holt, another one of our listeners, wanted me to tell Dee, he's the greatest thrash bass player in the world, but I was still too scared when I met him. So pass it on.
There's a nice YouTube video. I forget who does it, but it's a guy who critiques bass players, and his first launch was "Who invented clank?" Dee Fernie. Clank, 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 clank.
He's amazing, and a rare bassist you hear in thrash.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many thrash bands where is the bass plugged in?
It's an out front instrument.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
And just amazing, and the two of you, what you've created, and I think it's great you're still doing it, and younger fans, because even myself, I didn't get into you back in the day when I first heard you. I didn't get
not for me.
Yeah, not for me, and. How I originally got into you, remember the record clubs and shit, you get,
Sure.
10 albums for a dime? Well, I had one more to get, and I was like, well, what else do they have on here? I was like, you know what, I got to give that Overkill band another shot. And that was in 99 with Coverkill. And just since I was like, what the fuck was I missing when I was 14? And you really become one of my favorite thrash bands, definitely in the top 3. I think you're the most, you have the best catalog, some of these other bands, I love certain eras, but others like that ain't even the same band to me. Overkill has always stayed Overkill. Even when you're taking little detours, it's still Overkill and still kicks ass.
Well, he who dies with the most toys wins.
You definitely got the most albums, the most kick-ass albums. But thank you very much, Bobby.
My pleasure.
It's been an honor, man.
All right, bro.
Diablos in Podcastica with Toomey and Wadzilla.